Welcome everyone to this week's AI Wrap-Up. Today we'll talk about Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential Figures in AI, Apple's unsung forays into large language models, copyright for AI art, the US government's adoption and rejection of Chat GPT, and where in the world was Chat GPT actually built? Time Magazine released a special issue on the current movers and shakers in AI, including most of the usual suspects, Sam Altman, Geoffrey Hinton, as well as some questionable choices. Grimes? Really? Because she embraced a chance to sell her fame in another venue? But the most interesting story here is how many of the 100 have ties to Andrew Ng, the soft-spoken Stanford professor whose online courses have introduced millions of students around the globe to AI. Elsewhere, Fast Company's Izzy Lepowski takes a close look at Yann LeCun, who happens to be another of Time's 100 AI influencers. Yann has seen it all. As an official elder of the AI revolution, one who has survived many AI winters and false springs, he was a leader in the long march from neural networks as the butt of jokes to their current preeminent glory. The man who taught the U.S. Post Office scanners to read handwritten zip codes. "Speak not of the ancient magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written." He thinks doomers wildly underestimate how long it will take to make intelligent machines and how much control humans will be able to exert over their development. Not a Pollyanna, he remains firmly in the opinion that our fate remains in our hands, so we need to get better at making the best of that power. Apple has been noticeably quiet about its AI ambitions, except for the ML, the AI that must not be named, in its Vision Pro augmented reality headset. But now, credible reports are surfacing that Apple is putting the pedal to the metal. According to MacRumors, although just 16 people work on Apple's foundational models team, which includes conversational AI, Apple is pouring millions of dollars per day into training AI models, including a next-gen Siri that would automate multi-step tasks. Having worked on Amazon's personal assistant myself, I can confidently say that the new generation of large language models put those old assistants to shame. Anyone who doesn't want to be left in the dust had better get their act together. In a bold move, Microsoft promises to legally indemnify any company against copyright claims for using its AI Copilot software. Authors, publishers, artists, and others have been making noise about suing AI companies for using their copyrighted materials in the training data of their AI models. Famously, the New York Times continues to rattle sabers about suing OpenAI. Uncertainty is bad for business, so Microsoft is taking copyright risk off the table for businesses, and encouraging businesses everywhere to use Microsoft's AI Copilot add-on for its flagship Microsoft Office Productivity Suite. On the flip side, Adobe has announced that it will pay a bonus to artists whose works were used to train its Firefly generative AI model. Firefly is one of the few generative models that was intentionally only trained on images that Adobe had legal rights to. We'll see which approach ultimately wins. State and local governments around the U.S. are grappling with free access to chatbot tools such as Chat GPT, Claude, Bard, and Bing. Some government departments, like the U.S. State Department in Guinea, who used Chat GPT to draft social media posts, are jumping in with both feet. After all, LLMs offer the prospect of AI assistance with the massive amounts of paperwork generated by the government. Other parts of the government, like the Environmental Protection Agency, citing concerns about accuracy and privacy, are banning AI altogether, while others are just trying to make sensible regulations about internal use of these tools. Meanwhile, in Finland, one branch of the government has built an interesting relationship with AI. AI companies have scoured the globe for cheap labor. See our previous reporting on AI's digital sweatshops overseas. Now they've found a surprising source of cheap labor in a first-world location, the prisons of Finland. Finland is a high-wage country, and so-called click workers are rare, but one enterprising firm has made a deal with the Finnish prison system to employ prisoners to do the menial labor of training AI models. Metroc, a Finnish startup that recently received 2 million euros in new funding, is building a large language model for Finnish, a language with just 5 million speakers. With so few Finnish speakers, Metroc isn't able to outsource the menial labor of verifying AI output to countries with low-wage labor. Instead, Metroc has partnered with Finland's progressive prison system to allow prisoners to volunteer to work for the very low wage of €1.54 an hour. On the one hand, this arrangement allows prisoners to work with computers instead of the physical work, like making road signs and gardening, that prisoners are usually offered. On the other, there is a lot of unsavory data labeling tasks out there, tagging violent or sexually explicit video. At the moment, the text labeling tasks that Metroc provides to its prison workforce are fairly mundane, even boring, like deciding whether a text is about real estate. It's a slippery slope toward exploiting a group of people with very limited options. On a lighter note, it turns out that Chat GPT was trained in one of Microsoft's vast server farms in Iowa, with a lot of water. Brad Smith, president of Microsoft, recently said that Chat GPT was literally made next to cornfields west of Des Moines. The computational load was so great that Microsoft's global water use leapt by 34%, or around 400 million gallons. Google has similarly reported a 20% growth in water use in the same period. Xiaolei Ren, a researcher at the University of California, Riverside, calculates that every time you engage in a conversation of moderate length with ChatGPT, the AI consumes half a liter of water. While these models are resource-intensive, Iowa is actually one of the better places to place a larger server farm. For much of the year, the weather's cool enough to use air to cool its computers. It's only when the temperature reaches into the high 80s that Microsoft turns to water for cooling. Still, to continue building bigger and bigger models, we need to find significant ways to increase efficiency in energy and water. Thanks for joining me for this week's AI Wrap-Up. This show is also available in newsletter form. See the links below.